The station was unusually quiet that morning. Leary had spent hours exploring small corners, learning about humans' daily lives and even helping with tiny tasks. Her small hands were clumsy, but the humans encouraged her gently. For the first time, she felt a little like she belonged, even if fear still whispered at the edges of her mind. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed across the walls, casting long shadows. Leary froze, her tiny body pressed against the wall. Her heart raced. Danger. Humans, pairing, attack! Her thoughts tumbled. Ryan appeared immediately, rushing toward her. "Leary, stay with me!" he shouted, scooping her up into his arms. She squeaked in surprise, unsure whether to scream or flee. The older man and the tall woman ran past them, carrying equipment. "Pirates in the docking bay!" the older man shouted. "We need to secure the station." Leary's ears twitched. Pirates? Real danger? Not a story, not a trick, but real attackers. Her instincts screamed at her to hide, to escape, to float away in her shuttle. Ryan held her tightly. "You're safe with me," he said firmly. "We won't let anything happen to you." She looked into his eyes and hesitated. His tone was calm, controlled, and serious. It was not a tone of trickery or threat. It was a promise. The humans moved quickly, but without panic. Leary watched as they organized, placing barriers and activating defensive systems. She had never seen beings act so efficiently in the face of danger. A small group of pirates appeared on the station's sensors, approaching fast. Their ships were black and sharp, menacing even from a distance. Leary clutched Ryan's neck, trembling. One of the ships fired a beam, striking the outer hull. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed even louder. Leary's glowing body pulsed with fear. Ryan pressed her gently against his chest. "It's okay. I'm right here. Nothing will happen to you." For the first time, she noticed something extraordinary. Humans did not hesitate to risk themselves to protect others. They moved into positions she could not imagine, standing guard, activating shields, and helping one another. The tall woman, carrying a compact energy blaster, ran across the corridor and fired at the pirates' drones. Sparks and debris scattered across the floor. Leary ducked instinctively. "You see?" Ryan whispered. "We protect each other. That's what humans do. Not for reward, not for pairing, but because it's right." Leary's eyes widened. She had heard stories of humans being selfish, cruel, and dangerous. But here, they were putting themselves in harm's way to save not only each other but her as well. A small explosion rocked the station nearby, sending a cloud of smoke into the corridor. Leary gasped, holding her breath. She expected humans to panic, to abandon her, to act as predators might. But Ryan's grip was steady. "Stay with me," he said calmly. "We'll get through this." The older man activated the station's emergency shields. Sparks and red lights danced across the walls. Leary watched the humans work together, their movements coordinated, precise, and fearless. Each person protected the others, and every action was deliberate. A pirate drone broke through a nearby barrier, heading straight for them. Ryan moved in front of Leary, raising his arm to block the blast. The energy hit him, knocking him slightly off balance, but he shielded her completely. Leary's small body trembled as she realized what had happened. Humans could be strong. Humans could be brave, and they could protect those smaller than themselves without expecting anything in return. The tall woman charged at another drone, firing with careful precision. Sparks flew and the drone fell apart. She turned to Ryan and Leary with a quick nod, confirming they were safe. Leary's heart pounded. Fear and awe battled inside her tiny chest. She had spent her entire life believing humans were predators, but these humans, they were protectors. They risked everything to defend even a small alien like her. The battle continued for what felt like hours, though it was only minutes. Leary watched humans move with courage, skill, and determination. They worked as a team, covering each other's backs, rescuing those in danger and never hesitating to act for the good of everyone. Finally, the pirates retreated, their ships disappearing into the stars. The alarms quieted, red lights dimmed, and the station returned to a tense but calm state. Leary clung to Ryan, still trembling, but a new feeling stirred inside her. Gratitude, respect, something she had never felt for humans before. Ryan crouched to her level, brushing a small strand of hair from her glowing forehead. "See," he said softly, "humans can be trusted. We care, we protect. Not for pairing, not for reward. Just because it's right." Leary's ears twitched. She looked at him, then at the tall woman and the older man, and finally at the station itself. Everything she had feared about humans crumbled in that moment. She realized her people had misunderstood humans. They had been afraid of stories, of myths, of exaggerations. But humans were not predators, they were allies, protectors, and friends. I understand now, Leary whispered. Her voice trembled, but it carried a new conviction. You do not want a pair. You protect, Ryan smiled gently. Yes, that's exactly right. We protect those who need help. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Tears welled in Leary's eyes, not from pain, but from relief. She had spent so long fearing humans, imagining danger in every glance, every gesture. And now she had seen the truth. Humans could be trusted. Humans could care. The older man placed a hand on her small shoulder. You've learned something important today, he said. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. And you stayed and watched. That is courage. Leary nodded slowly, her small body shaking but her heart lighter than it had ever been. For the first time, she felt safe, truly safe, not just because she was physically protected, but because she understood the humans' intentions. They were kind, they were brave, and they could be trusted. Ryan helped her to her feet. Come on, he said. Let's check the repairs and make sure everything is back to normal. As they walked through the station, Leary looked around with new eyes. The humans moved with care, helping each other, sharing small gestures of kindness and protecting everything around them. It was a sight she would never forget. For the first time, she felt something she had never felt before. Hope. She realized that perhaps the galaxy was not as frightening as she had believed. Perhaps with humans like these she could explore, learn, and even live without fear. And in that moment, Leary made a silent promise to herself. She would try to understand humans, to learn from them, and to see their kindness for what it truly was. The galaxy was wide, full of unknown dangers, but she no longer felt completely alone. Humans had shown her that there were beings who could be trusted, who could protect without taking, who could care without expecting. And for Leary, that was more than enough to start believing in something new, something called friendship. The station was quiet now, the alarms long silenced. The last remnants of the pirate attack had been cleared, and humans moved about with calm efficiency, repairing damaged panels and checking systems. Leary walked beside Ryan, her tiny hands clutching her small glowing device, the gift from earlier. Her heart still beat fast, but her fear had changed into something else, curiosity and maybe even a little excitement. For the first time, she felt safe. Not just physically, but emotionally. She could trust these humans. She had seen them protect one another, risk themselves for strangers, and act with kindness without expecting anything in return. Ryan glanced down at her. You've been amazing, he said gently. I know it was scary, but you stayed. You learned. You helped. Leary blinked up at him, her large eyes shining. I saw humans today. Protect and help, not like the stories. Not like I feared, Ryan nodded. Most humans are like that. We care, we protect, and we respect choice. She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. The fear that had dominated her life for so long began to melt away. She realized how much she had misunderstood humans, how deeply the stories she had heard had shaped her beliefs. The tall woman approached, carrying a small tray of clean water and fruit. You must be hungry after today, she said softly. You did very well. Leary hesitated, then accepted the tray. She sat down on a low bench, her small body glowing faintly as she ate. She watched the humans around her, noticing the way they laughed, shared stories, and helped each other. Everything she had feared, the tricks, the threats, the pairing, was absent. In its place was something new: trust. Later, Ryan led her to the docking bay where her repaired shuttle waited. It gleamed under the station lights, its systems humming steadily. Leary approached cautiously, her mind racing. She could leave now. She could return to her home, back to the safety of the forests she had always known. But something stopped her. She looked at the humans, Ryan, the tall woman, the older man, all of them smiling gently, waiting, giving her space and choice. And she realized she wanted to stay a little longer. She wanted to learn more. Ryan noticed her hesitation. You don't have to leave yet, he said softly. You can stay as long as you want. We can show you more of the station, more about humans, and help you feel at home. Leary's ears twitched. She had spent so long hiding, running, fearing that every gesture carried danger, but now, for the first time, she saw humans as something else entirely. Not predators, not threats, but friends, allies. She took a small step forward. I want to stay, she whispered. Ryan smiled warmly. Good, we'll help you learn. Will? Leary watched the humans move around the station with cautious fascination. Everything they did seemed strange, yet strangely organized. They laughed, worked, and ate together. No one forced anyone to do anything. No one was cruel or impatient. She followed Ryan, who walked beside her, pointing out various parts of the station. He explained the life support systems, the small hydroponic gardens, and the tiny recreation area where humans relaxed after long work shifts. See, Ryan said, humans like to help each other. We work together because it makes life better. No one is forced. No one is taken? Leary's large eyes blinked. Her mind struggled to understand. Could humans really be different from what her people had said? Her entire life had prepared her to be careful, to hide, to fear humans, but here, something felt different. They stopped near the small recreation area. Several humans were playing a simple game with a floating ball that glowed faintly. One of them tossed it high and another jumped to catch it, laughing when he missed. It's fun, Ryan said, following her gaze. We play games like this to relax. Everyone joins in if they want. No pressure, Leary tilted her head. Games? Relaxation? There was no hint of trickery in this. The human's laughter was genuine, warm, and free. She wanted to believe it, but fear kept her cautious. She stepped closer, hiding behind Ryan, and watched. One of the smaller humans noticed her and waved. Hey, little one. Want to try? Leary froze. Try? What did that mean? Was this another trick? Ryan bent down, gently resting a hand on her shoulder. It's okay if you don't want to. You can watch. The choice, she realized, was hers. Humans didn't force her. That simple idea amazed her. Her people always said that humans took what they wanted, no matter how small or timid the target. But here, Ryan's words, his actions showed something else. Slowly, she inched forward, curious. She watched the glowing ball float through the air, following the human's playful movements. Her tiny hands twitched, itching to try. She had never played before, not in this way. Want to catch it? Ryan asked gently. She shook her head, scared. But then she noticed something. No one shouted at the others when they missed. No one teased them cruelly. Every mistake was met with laughter or encouragement. Is this really safe? She thought. Can humans really just play and enjoy without forcing? Finally, she took a tiny step forward. The glowing ball drifted toward her, almost as if it knew she wanted to participate. She reached out a small hand and tapped it. The ball bounced softly off her palm. Good job, a human cheered. Her heart skipped a beat. No one had scolded her. No one had grabbed her. She had touched the ball. And nothing bad happened, Ryan smiled. See, no harm. You're learning fast. Leary's small body relaxed slightly. Still her mind raced. If humans were this kind, why did they act so different from what she had always heard? Later, Ryan led her to a small kitchen. He began showing her how to make a simple meal. He handed her a bowl and spoon.
Want to help?
He asked. Leary froze. Help? Cooking? Was this a trick? Ryan laughed softly. No tricks. I promise. Just teaching you something humans like to do. Hesitant but curious, she picked up a small spatula. He guided her hands gently, showing how to stir a simple mixture. Her fingers were tiny and the tools were large, but he adjusted his hands to help her manage. Careful, he said with a soft chuckle. Slow and steady. That's all. She stirred carefully, watching the mixture change colors. It smelled warm, comforting. Her fears faded a little. Perhaps humans didn't always mean harm. Perhaps some humans could be truly kind. As they worked, the older man appeared, carrying a small tray of ingredients. You're doing well, little one, he said quietly. Humans like to share knowledge, not take it. Not take anyone, Leary blinked. She had never heard words like this in her life. Her people always said humans taught only to trick, but here, they were teaching to help. By the end of the small cooking lesson, Leary had made a simple dish, something she had never imagined possible. The humans clapped gently. She looked down, embarrassed. Ryan leaned close. You see, humans don't force anyone. We can share and care without expecting anything in return. Leary's ears twitched. The words sank slowly into her mind. Could it really be true? Could humans be so different from the stories she had heard? That evening, she sat quietly on a small balcony, watching the stars beyond the station. Ryan joined her, sitting a short distance away. "Do you like it here?" he asked softly. Leary hesitated. She wanted to trust him, to say yes, but fear still lingered. I don't know," she whispered. "I am afraid, my people. They told me humans are dangerous." Ryan nodded. "I understand. And I can't change what you've heard. But I can show you another way. Humans can be kind. We care, we protect. Not for gain, not for pairing. Just because it's the right thing to do." She thought about the floating ball, the simple cooking lesson, the warmth of the meal. The humans had not forced her. They had let her choose. They had protected her. Slowly she began to relax a little. Her glowing skin dimmed slightly in the cool night air as her heartbeat steadied. "Do all humans act this way?" she asked, her voice small. Ryan smiled gently. "Most do in their own ways. Some make mistakes, but kindness is real. And yes, humans can be trusted if you see their actions, not just hear the stories." Leary nodded slowly. She felt a small spark of hope, though it was fragile. Perhaps she had been wrong to fear all humans. Perhaps there was a way to trust if only she paid attention and stayed careful. The stars above seemed to shine brighter as she sat there, small and cautious, yet curious. For the first time, she imagined that life could be different from the terrifying stories she had grown up with. And for the first time, she considered that maybe, just maybe, humans were not predators at all. Perhaps they could be something else entirely, allies, friends. But Leary remained alert. She would not let herself be too naive. Trust had to be earned, and she would watch, learn, and decide carefully. For now she stayed quiet, observing. Every smile, every gentle gesture from the humans planted tiny seeds of understanding in her mind. By the time the first light of the station's artificial sun filled the balcony, Leary felt a small change. Fear still lingered, but it was no longer all-consuming. Curiosity had begun to grow in its place, and in that quiet moment, she realized that maybe humans were not what she had always been taught to fear. Maybe, just maybe, the galaxy had more surprises than she had imagined. Leary had started to feel more comfortable around the humans. She followed them through the station, quietly observing how they worked and lived. She noticed that every human had a role, but no one acted like they were better than the others. Everyone helped each other, from cleaning the floor to repairing machines to sharing food. Still, fear lingered deep inside her. Every kind word or gentle gesture made her nervous. She remembered the stories from her people. Humans always had a hidden motive. They might smile and laugh, but one day they would take what they wanted. Ryan noticed her tension. "Hey, little one," he said softly as they walked through the workshop. "You're quiet today. Are you feeling okay?" Leary's ears twitched. She wanted to speak, but the words were hard to form. I'm afraid," she whispered. I do not understand humans." Ryan knelt to her level and looked into her wide, glowing eyes. "I know, and that's okay. It takes time to understand us. Humans can seem strange, even scary, but we are not here to harm you. We only want to help." Her small hands twisted her cloak nervously. "But my people," they said humans always want a pair. Ryan smiled gently. "Most humans respect choice. We don't force anyone. We help because it is the right thing to do, not because we want to take anything from you." Leary blinked. His words were soft, yet they carried a truth she could almost feel. Almost. They reached a part of the station where a large machine hummed and hissed. Sparks occasionally flew from small openings. Ryan gestured toward the controls. "This is a repair station," he said. "We fix broken machines here. Would you like to see how it works?" Leary froze. Machines and humans together? She remembered stories of humans tricking others with tools, forcing them into traps, but something in Ryan's tone told her this time it might be different. I can watch," she said quietly, stepping closer but keeping her distance. Ryan nodded and began working. He explained the process as he repaired a small broken robot. Leary listened carefully, fascinated despite her fear. His hands moved skillfully, adjusting wires, tightening bolts, testing circuits. Then a small accident happened. One of the robot's metal arms slipped and swung toward Leary. She shrieked, jumping back, her heart racing. Ryan reacted immediately. He stepped between her and the swinging arm, steadying the machine. "Careful," he said gently, not scolding her, just pointing out the danger. Leary trembled. Her tiny body shook as she realized how close she had been to danger. But instead of yelling or punishing her, Ryan just held the machine steady. His calm reaction surprised her. You saved me," she whispered. Ryan smiled, brushing some dust from her cloak. "Of course. That's what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Not for reward. Not for pairing, just because it's the right thing." Leary's heart softened slightly. She had never been protected like this before. Not by anyone. Her people had always relied on hiding, running, or tricking their enemies to survive. But here, humans protected without expecting anything in return. The older man, the alien girl, was small. Very small. She stood only up to the knee of a grown human. Her skin had a faint glow, like soft blue light underwater. Her large eyes blinked nervously as she crept along the edge of the metallic corridor. Every step she took made a tiny tapping sound, but she tried her best to move silently. Her name was Leary. She belonged to the Finari, a species known across a few sectors of the galaxy as timid and secretive. The Finari were not fighters, not explorers, not builders. They lived quietly on their forest moon, keeping away from bigger species, and for a very long time they told each other frightening stories about one race above all others, humans. Leary had grown up hearing those stories. Humans were tall, loud, and full of strange energy. They always wanted to pair, her people said. To pair with aliens, to bind them, to claim them. That was what her elders whispered. To Leary it sounded terrifying. And now, against all odds, she was standing on a human outpost. She had not planned it. Her tiny shuttle had broken down near this sector. Alarms blared, smoke filled the cockpit, and she barely managed to send out a distress signal before drifting. When the beacon of the human station pulled her in, she nearly fainted with fear. Now she was inside, her small frame wrapped in a protective cloak, her heart beating fast. She peeked around the corner. 3 humans stood near a table in the central hub. They were tall, their shoulders broad, their voices deep. One of them laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber like rolling thunder. Leary almost ran back to her shuttle, but it was too late. One of the humans turned. "Hey, look," he said, pointing. "She's awake." The other 2 looked over, their eyes fixed on her glowing skin, their faces breaking into smiles. Leary froze. She hugged her cloak tighter, thinking, "This is it. They saw me. They will try to pair with me." The humans walked closer, their heavy boots thudding against the floor. Leary took a step back. "Careful," one of them said softly, raising both hands as if calming a frightened animal. "It's all right. You're safe." Safe? Leary didn't believe it. She had heard the stories. Humans always said soft words before they took what they wanted. One of them crouched down, trying to meet her gaze at eye level. He was young, with short dark hair and kind brown eyes. His uniform had oil stains on the sleeves, marking him as a mechanic. "My name's Ryan," he said gently. "We pulled your ship in before it fell apart. Don't worry, you're okay now." His voice wasn't sharp. It wasn't threatening. Still, Leary trembled. She kept her eyes wide, scanning for signs of a trap. Another human, a tall woman with a bright smile, set something down on the floor in front of Leary. A tray. On it sat a steaming bowl of soup and a small cup of water. "You must be hungry," the woman said. "Eat. Hungry?" Leary's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since her shuttle broke down. But her fear was stronger. What if the food was part of the pairing ritual? What if eating it meant she agreed to be claimed? She shook her head quickly, clutching her cloak tighter. Ryan noticed the panic in her eyes. He frowned slightly, then reached for the tray. He lifted the spoon, took a bite of the soup himself, and smiled. "See? It's not a trick. Just food," Leary blinked. She hadn't expected that. The humans were eating their own offering? That didn't make sense. In her people's culture, food given to a stranger was a bond. It was never eaten by the giver. The woman laughed softly. "You're shaking like a leaf. Poor thing. She must think we're monsters." At the word monsters, Leary flinched. Did they know she thought that? Did they enjoy her fear? The third human, an older man with a calm face, stepped forward. "Let's give her space. She doesn't trust us yet. If we crowd her, it'll only make it worse." The 3 of them stepped back. Leary was left alone with the tray in front of her. She stared at the soup. Steam rose in soft swirls, carrying a smell she had never known before. It was warm, rich, inviting. Her tiny hands trembled as she reached out. She picked up the spoon, dipped it, and tasted just a little. The flavor exploded on her tongue. Her eyes widened. It was unlike anything she had eaten before. comforting, almost soothing. Ryan smiled from where he sat a few meters away. Good, huh? Leary's cheeks heated. She nodded once, then quickly looked down again. The humans didn't come closer. They didn't press her. They just let her eat. As she ate, she listened. The three of them began talking quietly among themselves. Their words drifted over, and she caught pieces of the conversation. She's adorable, the woman said. Yeah, Ryan replied, like a little fairy glowing in the dark. Leary's spoon froze halfway to her mouth. Adorable, fairy? Were these code words? Did they mean she was the perfect size to pair? Her fear returned in a rush. She pushed the bowl away and pulled the cloak tighter. Ryan noticed immediately. Hey, it's okay. No one's going to hurt you. But Leary didn't believe him. She couldn't. The stories were too strong. Still, something gnawed at her thoughts. If humans truly wanted to pair with her, why did they save her ship? Why give her food? Why step back when she was scared? The confusion twisted inside her chest. Fear battled with curiosity, and neither side won. For now, she sat in silence, watching the humans with wide eyes, waiting for their next move. Ryan glanced at the older man, then back at her. She doesn't understand us, not yet. But we'll figure it out. His words were soft, but Leary caught them. For the first time, she felt a flicker of something she hadn't expected. Hope. Maybe, just maybe. The humans weren't what her people always said. But she wasn't ready to believe it yet. Not until she was sure. The next morning, Leary woke in a small cot near the station's medical bay. Her body ached slightly from the long drift in space, but her mind was restless. She had barely slept. Her thoughts raced like a river. Humans, she thought. Were they kind, or was this another trick? She peeked out from under the blanket and saw Ryan walking down the hall. He carried a small tray with a steaming drink. Leary froze. Is he coming for me? She thought. Or is this the pairing? Her heart pounded so hard that she thought it might be heard outside her room. She pulled the blanket higher over her small frame. Ryan knelt by her cot, setting the tray down gently. Good morning, he said softly. I brought something warm. Tea? I think you'll like it. Leary's eyes darted around. He didn't reach for her. He didn't even touch her. He just smiled. She wanted to run, but curiosity pulled her gaze toward the cup. It smelled sweet, fragrant, and safe. She hesitated, then sipped. The warmth spread through her tiny body, calming some of her nerves. Ryan watched quietly. Take your time, he said. No pressure, Leary blinked. No pressure? Could humans really be this gentle? Or was this a trap she hadn't seen yet? After a long moment, she dared a small nod. Ryan smiled, as if reading her mind. Later, he led her to a small lounge area where the other two humans were waiting. The tall woman, smiling brightly, waved at her. Good to see you up, little one. Leary flinched. She had almost forgotten how small she looked. She wasn't used to being stared at by being so tall, so overwhelming. She hugged her cloak tighter, shrinking against the wall. Ryan crouched beside her. They won't hurt you, he said. They just want to help, but Leary shook her head. Humans? Always want to pair, she whispered, her voice trembling. I've heard stories. The woman's smile faltered, but she remained calm. Pair? What do you mean? I mean, claimed Leary stammered. It is your custom to pair with other species. Ryan's eyes softened. No, that's not true. At least not for everyone. We don't do that. Leary's ears twitched. Did he really mean it? Could humans not want to pair? Her entire life had warned her otherwise. The older man, who had spoken little before, stepped forward. We don't force anyone. Humans respect choice, always. Leary's large eyes grew wider. She wanted to believe him, but her instincts screamed otherwise. Still, they didn't press her. They simply waited, offering her small gestures of kindness. A blanket, a cup of water, a soft smile. Each act seemed so gentle that she almost felt guilty for being afraid. Almost. Then something happened that made her panic again. Ryan leaned forward, pointing at a small holographic screen floating near the table. Look at this, he said. The screen showed Leary's shuttle, now repaired and hovering safely above the docking bay. Sparks of blue energy blinked along its hull. Leary gasped. They repaired it? Already? In her mind, repair meant preparation. Preparation for pairing. They fixed my ship, she whispered, trembling. They plan to take me. No, Ryan said quickly. We fixed it because you need it. You're not ours. You can leave any time. She stared at him. His words didn't match what her instincts felt. Something about them was different. But what? As they spoke, the humans continued their quiet routine. They joked softly among themselves, laughed at minor mistakes, and moved about the station as if the tiny alien girl weren't even there. Leary misread everything. When the woman laughed and said, "She's so tiny, she looks like a fairy," Leary froze. Her mind jumped to the worst conclusion. A fairy, that is. A signal. They see me as perfect for pairing. She backed toward the wall, trembling. Her small body shook with fear. Ryan noticed immediately. Hey, he said gently. You don't need to be afraid. We're not talking about taking you. We're just noticing you're cute. That's all. Leary's head tilted, confused. Cute, that's all? Her people had always said that when humans called something cute, it meant it was a target. But she stayed silent. She didn't dare trust the words. She